Oh, very finely fielded in the slips. And actually they're appealing for a catch there. And he's given out by Cowdrey. Cowdrey caught him falling down. The ball hardly left the ground, and Davidson is out, caught Cowdrey, bowled Truman for 7. Australia all out 120. That most brilliant catch, and 6 wickets to Truman.
Linseed oil, a small but important part of a timeless British tradition. Not a part, however, which generates a huge demand for the crop from which it comes. Fortunately, though, linseed is a crop which has other uses too. From the field, in industry, to hard-wearing surfaces. Linseed is not a new crop to the UK, but with the new market applications, together with production incentives, there's been a rejuvenation of interest in its cropping. But it's not been without its problems. The spring-sown crop has tended to be inconsistent, and it can be extremely late coming to harvest. Many farmers have tried drilling spring crops in the autumn, but they found that there are some problems with winter hardiness. Certainly after the 1995-96 winter, overwintered spring crops were not looking healthy.
True winter linseed crops fared extremely well compared to the pseudo or spring winter linseed drilled in the autumn. There's just 2 dedicated winter linseed varieties. They were the only 2 varieties that came through the winter unscathed. This year I believe that NIAB have done variety trials again, and it has proved conclusively that winter linseed is the only linseed that can be drilled in the autumn. The spring linseeds haven't done well again.
Now the arrival of the first commercial winter linseed varieties has not surprisingly met with an enthusiastic response from forward-looking farmers and agronomists. But just where does winter linseed come from?
20 years ago, in the former Yugoslavia, winter hardy material was identified, brought over to France, and the breeding work started. And it wasn't until the early 1990s that they found a commercially viable variety, and it was released into the UK. So that first season we had the seed delivered very late, consequently we only had a very small trial. But from 1992 onwards we've been working with winter linseed on a large trial scale. The crop area has expanded tremendously from 1994, where we only had 2 seed crops, each of 10 hectares. In 1995 we did release the crop to 200 growers on a trial and evaluation basis, and they were our pioneer growers of winter linseed, as well as having trial sites throughout the UK at 12 independent sites looking at sowing date, drilling date and nitrogen work.
The nitrogen was applied as 1 dose in early March. Now the French, who are the actual breeders of the crop, are doing some work on that.
But how sure can the prospective grower be of a sustainable market? Who better to deal with this question than Tony Bell of Unitrition, one of the major players in the linseed crushing market.
We've been crushing linseed since 1910, though today we've gone through considerable modernisation and probably today have the most modern expeller plant in the UK. Well, everybody tends to associate linseed oil with the use on cricket bats. That's only a tiny use. Linseed has many traditional uses, ranging from things like putty. Also it's going into products like paints, linoleum, sealants and various resins. The linseed oil is actually used because of its basis of being a drying oil. In the UK at the moment we are importing 40 to 50,000 tonnes of linseed each year, and if you actually look at it within the European Union we're actually importing close on 500,000 tonnes of linseed. Quality is very important to the linseed. The characteristic that people are using linseed oil for is its drying capability. That is related to the iodine value. Now, linseed grown in Northern Hemisphere countries, like Canada and the UK, is higher in iodine value and a better quality than oil which is produced in somewhere like Argentina. So what we've been able to do by having a high quality oil is being able to develop markets around the world for refined linseed oil.
The market prospects seem bright. So what are the practicalities of growing a successful commercial crop of winter linseed? Just how promising have the first crops been? Where does winter linseed fit into the rotation? And just what do the pioneering growers think of it? Richard Gregory is one of those growers.
Yeah, we've been interested in winter linseed now for 4 or 5 years. This year is the first time that we've really gone out on large commercial scale into the farming situation. The thing we've been interested in up till now really has been the earliness of harvest, timeliness of harvest, which is a big benefit compared with the spring crop. In the recent years, when the farm here has been growing spring commercial crops, it has been literally double the yield of the spring varieties grown in that situation.
We're interested in looking at winter linseed because we feel it's a valuable break crop as far as the arable rotation is concerned, because our main emphasis with our clients is to look for break crops that give us a good entry for winter wheat, so that what we're looking for are break crops that are harvested early and give us plenty of time to get cultivations and seedbed preparations to give us entry for wheat at the beginning of September.
Winter linseed as a crop we are extremely excited about. When we had spring linseed 3 or 4 years ago, when a lot of acres of spring linseed did very, very well, but the farmers quickly went off the crop as establishment and yields were very, very poor, and we had terrible attacks from the flax flea beetle at the same time, which absolutely decimated crops and resulted in yields down to 300 to 500 weight an acre, which was just totally unacceptable. And so the spring linseed growing has died right down. With the advent of the winter linseed crop now, particularly with the variety Oliver, which seems to be the best one available on the market, that is going to revolutionize the job.
But where does winter linseed fit into the arable rotation?
This field was planted with second wheat last year, harvested the middle of August. It's now receiving its winter linseed crop, and it will almost certainly be followed by winter wheat, because we're on heavy land here, and winter wheat is the king crop.
As with any crop, optimum yields can only be achieved from an adequate plant population. So what's the key to good establishment?
Well, in an ideal world, what we're aiming for is a fine, firm, moist seed bed. Cultivations then have to be adapted, obviously, to the conditions. Unfortunately, this year we've not had the moisture, and that has therefore necessitated more cultivations than perhaps would be necessary.
This year, Samundo decided to pack the seed in acre packs. They've derived the amount of seed in a pack based on previous experience in trials and on the commercial crops last year.
They're also taking account of the 1,000 grain weight of the seed, which can vary quite a lot. And in this year, the acre packs contain 22 kilograms, or the equivalent of 54 kilograms a hectare. The field was actually ploughed immediately after harvesting in the middle of August. It was then mash-yowed and semi-seedbed prepared. It was then left for approximately 1 month, during which time it greened up, and in normal circumstances you would get very good weathering on this soil, especially if you get wet and dry conditions. Then after that, in a normal situation, all they'd have to do is come in and pressure harrow and you'll be able to drill straight away. However, in these dry conditions they've had to force the seedbed a little bit more, and they've had to additionally roll and go through with a combine cultivator.
And the optimum drilling date?
We think that the ideal time is the end of September, last week in September. Oliver has got a relatively small seed, so really it wants to be sown shallow, a bit like winter oilseed rape. In an ideal situation you'd be talking probably about 1 inch depth.
So what plant population are we aiming for?
In our experience, it's been very difficult to pull round a crop which is too thin in the spring. So anything below about 450 or 400 plants a square metre in the spring, it would be difficult to achieve optimum yield from that situation. Conversely, if you have a crop which has even 900 plants a square metre in the spring, that doesn't seem to have any penalty. So it's possible to achieve reasonable yields from high seed rates, but not from low seed rates.
And what about pH?
I think it can tolerate quite a wide range. I mean, we're very fortunate here in that the pH is almost neutral between 7 and 8. And this is producing more or less ideal results.